Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So we want to take a moment before we sit and remember our men and women in the armed forces. As we do every meeting, we also want to remember some folks that have passed. Nick Camparelli, Joan Smith Foley, wonderful lady, and someone we all know, a dear friend of mine, Bob Scott. Thank you. George, are you here because of the St. Patrick's Day parade?
I am.
Is that the only reason you're here?
Oh, I'm going to start attending more. This is good, I want to check it out today.
Okay. Is there any public comment on agenda items or anything else? Yes.
Good evening, Kathy Guy, Village President. At the last community forum meeting, the younger generation brought up and actually took a lot of time about the drug issues here in the village. A whole new set of people who have noticed the problems. I'm wondering why the police and the mayor are not coming to these meetings to address these people's issues.
The community forum, is that? I go to the other one.
No,
That's
that's
going to be on,
Community
excuse me.
Coalition.
I go to the other one that's on February 6th, the coalition, which a lot of time, most of what we talk about is drugs. So I do go to that one, and I try to make as much, I try to make as much as I can. Okay, anything else?
Yeah, is there any chance that this board is going to continue its predecessor's footsteps in lowering the village debt?
Well, of course, and it's not only the predecessor, it's even go back further than that. Yeah, we, in fact, we're starting our budgets this month.
Okay, and I also know that a significant amount of the reserve fund has been used, so I'm assuming we're gonna work on building that back up again?
I can't answer you because I don't exactly know what you mean. I mean, I know what a reserve fund is, but I don't, when you say it's been depleted,
I didn't say depleted.
you said a lot of it's been used up.
Yes.
You'd have to tell me what you're referring to. I can, well, you don't know?
I didn't
You're making
bring-
a
I didn't bring the paperwork with me, but I absolutely.
That's
will
very
bring it.
important.
Yes.
Yeah, maybe the next
Yeah.
meeting. Go ahead, Charlie.
There's a difference between, we've established reserves for specific purposes.
Like a truck.
I think you're probably talking about fund balance, which is the bigger cushion.
Let her, she's making a comment, a statement, so come back to us with what it is.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
The last 3 years, the village has put in for the $10 million grant. Year 1, we were in the top 10. Year 2, we were in the top 5. What happened this past year? Where do we rank?
You just said it. It's only been 3 years, and we've applied all 3 years.
Yeah, 2018 was the last year, that's why I'm asking.
We've applied it all 3 years. In all 3 years, not that this is a reason, but the city's got it, a city got it, not a small village. Number 2, On the year 2, there were 124 applicants. We were one of 8 or 9 finalists, and myself and a couple other folks went to Marist College to be interviewed. And again, that year they picked a city.
Yeah, I'm just wondering
So-
what happened in 2018.
The
That was
fourth year,
2017.
the fourth year isn't out yet.
No, this 2018 was the 3rd year.
Yeah, we put in for it.
Yeah, I wanted to know if I heard anything where we ranked in that.
No, we weren't one of the finalists.
Okay. The last thing I want to know is the board willing to confirm that an outside agency is in fact investigating German policies and other things?
I don't know what you're talking about again.
Okay.
I wish you would bring more information, because that would help us if we don't know what you're speaking of.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
You're just what?
I'm just reassuring the people that it is going on.
There was another hand, I thought. Yeah, there's-
Oh, there you go. Well, I'll wait.
Martha Alden, Highland Falls. I know, from what I understand, I don't get to make every meeting because of my job schedule, but I hear that you are going to adhere to a strict 3-minute, and I noticed the timer up there, so I see that.
Oh. Thank you.
By all means. However, since you all work for us, and you are there because of us and for us, if an important issue comes up, 3 minutes isn't gonna be enough. And to cut people off when they get into possibly saying things you don't wanna hear, not a good idea. Just remember, you all are there because of us. And if you wanna stay there, treat us nicely. Thank you.
Martha, wait a minute, don't make a statement and walk away. You did that in like 15 seconds, which is great, so let me recalibrate it.
Oh, okay.
The 3-minute rule, which almost every municipality has, please check. Some have less, actually, is not to hear what we don't want to hear. No, so I'm telling you, so don't try to remember that. But this was imposed by this village board, because if you go back and look at meetings, I don't know how far back you'd have to go, not too far. While you say 3 minutes is too long, I don't think it is. 6, 7, and 8 minutes is too long. And that's what was, no, wait a minute, and that's what was happening. You know that.
Yes,
I appreciate your
but
comment.
sometimes there are issues that need more than 3 minutes.
Thank
And
you.
the other issue is to compare us to other places when we're 3,000 people in the village, of whom probably, 25 might show up. Not a good idea.
Thank
We're not a big city.
Thank you. Thank you. Chris?
Okay. Haven't been up here in quite a while, reading the rules. Chris Burns, Fort Montgomery. I'm also the president of the Highlanders Senior Club, who meets down the senior center 1 hour a week, an hour and a half, or a month. But I'm just here as a senior citizen now because the village taxpayers, I mean, it's a beautiful building, it needs work, but it's a beautiful layout. And the village taxpayers are heating it and air conditioning it and cleaning it and plowing the snow. And it's basically like a wasted building because we have 5 or 6 seniors that play bingo in there, 1 or 2 afternoons. It's underutilized is what I'm trying to say. And when you I thought you had to deal with the town rec, which would probably be good. It would have ruffled some feathers, as you know, you sat in that seat for quite a number of years as president, Joe. And I'm in there now, so you know I'm hearing it from both sides. We could work with volunteers, giving out additional keys, but then you don't know who's got the key, who unlocked it, who did this, who did that. My thoughts on the matter, if you hired somebody, say, 4 hours a day, 5 days a week, $15 an hour. That's $300 a week, $15,000 a year. The town don't have that kind of money, the village doesn't have that kind of money. And I'm not a security expert, but I felt that maybe working with the village police, because it's in their jurisdiction, we might get a key fob system to open the door, a senior citizen, and then surveillance cameras in there, you know, for probably under $2,500, the key fob system, the surveillance cameras. They have them now that they're wireless. You just stick the camera up, and you can watch it on a smartphone, who's in there. And then the senior citizen would come down. I mean, we have it in the ambulance corps, Mark knows. You go in, if something happens, Marty can go right in there and see the last person to unlock that door on the computer. My office has it, that they know who's in there. I'm in there Saturdays, Sundays, because I don't like to drive at night.
Chris?
If we had the key fob and the surveillance, you have 2,500, the seniors come down here, give you a $10 deposit on the fob. You log them in, that's their fob. They open the door, they walk in, the place is trash. You have a big sign right there. If you walk in and the place is trash, call the police department. There's a phone right there. Have them come down, because if you don't call the police department and you walk back out, you're gonna get blamed for the damage. So just something to think about.
Chris, let me answer, or cut some comments to what you just said. First of all, you're right, it's underutilized. Number two, it's kind of new, a couple of years.
Yeah.
I don't know when new stops, you know, maybe when it stops smelling new, and it has stopped smelling new, so maybe it's not new any longer like a car. But with the village clerk and the board, we have now opened it up, as you probably know, to other clubs, entities. We have a couple meetings up there. We have Section 8 that's going to have meetings up there. So we're trying, we have a calendar downstairs. I think you were out, I went to the last 2 meetings, and there's a calendar now designated downstairs if you want to, if someone wants to use, say the Girl Scouts want to use it one day afternoon, and it's not being used, so there's a calendar, a master calendar. So we have picked up traffic that way. We know eventually we have to do something about a lock, because right now a senior citizen can't go there to converse with another senior, put a puzzle together, just watch TV, whatever. Those kinds of things that seniors do, socialize. So we're working on coming up with a key system. We don't know what that'll be yet, how it'll work. For me, I really wouldn't want to charge a senior $10, but we're talking about that. The place needs to be open.
Absolutely.
And there was a misunderstanding, because I went to the town, I went to the supervisor about the recreation department, which I know has a little cubby hole on the second floor, thinking maybe it would be a good spot for him up there, because I can relate it to seniors, because they book the buses and the trips and all that, so there is a relationship. It's not just young children that the rec does. And I went to the supervisor thinking, okay, we could make some cubicles up there, we could do some alterations, seniors over here and the rec department office over here. But he quickly said no. He had his reasons. He said no about moving the rec department up there. So okay, that's off the drawing board now. And now also I see the town budget has given this center down here, $100 a week to coordinate senior, if I'm right, activities. Now, we also have a lot of senior activities being held at Holy Innocents Parish Hall. We have senior citizens being done at the library. I'm not saying stop that, but sometimes I see some things that are going on in different places really should be there.
Absolutely.
And I'm not saying everything should be there, but I'm saying if you're having yoga for seniors, it should be at the Senior Citizen Center. That's my opinion. You have a beautiful parking lot, there's not one, it's a beautiful building for seniors, no steps. There's not one step you have to go up. Handicap bathrooms, the remodeling, it's beautiful in there. And by the way, I want to thank the highway department because they painted inside. So it's nice and light and bright now, and we're having electricity put in for the 220 line. Matter of fact, I think he's going there tomorrow to put the 220 in, so then we can get the stove. And we have a couple estimates coming in to drop the ceiling with much better lighting, LED lighting, because it's a little dull there now. Of course, I'm getting older, so everything's a little different.
Got you.
But things, you know what I mean, have to start being held there.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, why have a senior
But
citizen
it
center?
has to be open.
Yeah, it has to be
It has to be
open.
open,
And I
yeah.
thought I had a nice scenario, but that was a no. So we have to come up with Plan B and probably
You know.
Plan C. So that's where the village board is. It is open to other entities that go in here and have a meeting. Again, we have a master calendar. Just come in and ask, leave us a note, date, time, and,
Well, the
you know.
Highlander meeting is recurring, correct?
No, no, we know that, yeah,
Yeah.
I know that. Not that we scheduled it.
You know, but I mean, it's beautiful, the backyard
Yes,
is
the
beautiful.
backyard
We
should
put
be a nice
picnic
garden.
tables out there,
Absolutely, grow some tomato plants, that back piece is nice.
You know.
People don't know about that back piece.
I did a presentation in Airmont Senior Citizen Center, and they had a group of guys that used to meet there 3 times a week to play poker.
Yeah,
From, you know, like 1 o'clock in the afternoon till 4 o'clock.
yeah, there's a lot that could
In
be
the
done.
evenings, I mean, you could have your village board meetings there.
Yeah, and we have had a couple there. So it's developing, it's in process. It's a little fluid, okay, but in time, it'll be what I think you and I want it to be.
That's right.
I really
Okay.
do believe that. I really do
You know,
believe it.
it sometimes needs a little kick.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Hey,
Absolutely.
I just got a question now.
Thank you, Chris.
Merv's got a question.
Yeah.
So this is the senior citizen building,
Right.
and I understand having other, organizations in there and all of that, but I guess the main focus, in my opinion, would be the senior citizens. So I would definitely agree, I think the fob is a great idea to have in there. And I don't think there should be, it's nice having all the other organizations coming in and doing their thing when there's vacancy for them to come in. But I think the main focus should be on the seniors coming in. So I think back to the first part of this whole conversation would be back to the entranceway coming into the senior citizen building. I think that should be the main focus first in trying to get some kind of fob system going on. Because how many seniors are not able to get in there?
Oh,
I
by
mean-
far most.
If-
There's only a few.
We don't have the slightest idea because the place is never open.
Okay, so maybe that's,
If the place was open, who knows what would happen?
then maybe the focus is going all the way back to the beginning of this conversation, where maybe that's the first step before we start thinking about what else we're gonna be putting in there.
But if you
Okay.
look at it,
No, go ahead, you finish that, and then I
Okay.
gotta move on.
you could put a couple of Wii games in there, and you could have dart leagues and golf leagues,
Yeah.
and archery leagues, and
Yeah.
everything else.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
you have to get the people in there. And that's all, you know,
And Chris, I would,
seniors are home, they eat dinner, there's no, I'm the only senior in the room here. So, oh, and Brian, I'm
that's not,
sorry. So, you know,
I never get upset, I have 2 lawyers.
that building is
Don't-
probably
I'm sorry.
vacant every night. It's vacant every night that people can use it. You know, Boy Scout, Girl Scouts, this, that.
yeah.
They don't do anything until their parents come home, they have dinner, and then they go out. Their meetings are.
We're doing that, we're working on
Okay.
that. But listen, just end it, so I gotta move on to the 3-minute rule, but
Just
listen,
turned 55.
help me if you think it's right, that more things were done there, not there, or there, or there.
Absolutely, I agree with you 100%.
Thanks,
There's
Chris.
too many people pulling
Thanks, Chris.
seniors apart.
Thanks, Chris. Thank you so much. All right.
Question about the towers, you can hear me?
Can you come up to the microphone?
Oh, okay, I thought maybe that's the reception. Hi, I'm Irina Koch, I live in Highland Falls. I was here about a year ago to ask about what's going on with the Suffolk Towers. And I think you told me that we're not there yet, but you will let me know. And from what I understand now, it's already decided on, and we, aren't you in, like a contract or something with the company?
Do I have a contract?
Okay, so it's not decided, so we will still be invited to have questions?
There'll be other than tonight, there'll be other public meetings on the cell tower.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Because, we have concern, we live high above, and we are worried that the transmitters will be
Yeah.
at our level,
There'll be,
so.
including tonight, but there'll be others, other meetings, yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. 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 Okay. I'm gonna move on.
No, because I'm friends with his father.
Okay. Is there anyone else wants to make a comment?
Chris.
Well,
My name's Rita Doherty, and all the neighbors here from Riverview Road, because we are very concerned about this issue with the towers, because we were here last year, we were kind of like, made to believe that it made no sense to put it all the way down the bottom of the hill there at Havens Road. Never seen a tower put in place like that, and we're very concerned, because we live right there. And then we're a very small group, and we're kind of worried that we're gonna be overlooked, because there are some
No.
people.
No, you won't be overlooked by me or the board. That you can,
Because of the health and safety.
Okay. that'll all, yeah, okay. There'll be, like I said to this young lady, there'll be other meetings. Is there anyone else?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Barbara
Want
Moore.
to get up here, hon?
I
Please.
will. Thanks. And I live at 208 Main Street. And
Your name?
Barbara Moore. And Riverview. So I also wanted to understand better about the cell tower. Whose cell tower is it? Who's the company, who will it represent, who will it give service to? And I'm also against it being that close to where I live.
And I think some of those questions might be answered.
I can
Like
try to
who?
answer any
Yeah.
questions, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
I'll
you're
give a
going-
brief presentation.
You're
to
just doing a
explain
presentation.
And kind of say where we are.
This is the gentleman with the cell from Homeland Towers. So I'm giving him some few minutes tonight just to speak,
Yeah.
and it's the very beginning, and I don't know where it'll go after tonight, we'll see,
Yeah, okay,
okay?
all right, okay, thank you
Yeah.
very much.
Oh, it's good that you came. It was good that you all came. Is there any other public comment? All right, if not, I'm gonna move on and do the open at this time, Regina, 25 after 7. Introductory local law to amend the zoning law to increase the expiration time periods applied to special use permit approvals. The board, you've had this before you. You'll see a legal notice was put in the News of the Highlands about tonight. You also have before you the local law. Is there any public comment on this introductory of the local law to amend the zoning law to increase the expiration time periods? We've talked about that up here other meetings. Anything you would like to say, Elise?
I just revised it to be 1 year. 1 year per request of the board instead of 2 years, and
It was
So-
6 months,
it was 3 months.
3 months,
It was 3
which was,
months.
the town thought it was a little short.
That's right, so the planning
So they-
board, the consolidated planning board requested that the village board align their code more closely with the town board, which, once you get an approval for a special use permit, you have a certain amount of time to actually get a building permit before that expires. The village gave, the general rule was 3 months, A lot of times with special permits, it takes a lot longer than 3 months to get through all of the drainage and the DOT and any other approval you might need from the DEC. So the Consolidated Planning Board suggested that that initial time frame be 1 year. And then with 1 additional year period that could be applied for to the planning board. So the board looked at that and requested that I make the change to the local law, which I did.
Thank you. Is there any public comment? If not, I'll close the public hearing at this time. You okay, Regina?
Yes.
Next on the agenda is a discussion from Homeland Towers. Sir, introduce yourself.
So Mayor, members of the board, the community, my name is Vincent Xavier, I'm the regional manager for Homeland Towers. And I'm glad people came here and reminded me of the last time I was here a year ago. We've actually been working on this for several years. And just wanted to kind of come tonight, give you an update, and let you know where I would like to go and what I think the next step should be.
I'm sorry, would you just at this point introduce the committee?
Sure. Well, I'm not sure exactly what month it was, but after I had made a new proposal to the village board, you saw fit to introduce or create a cell tower committee that was comprised of your attorney, 2 members of the village board, and other members of the public. Since then, I've met with them twice. At that point, really all we've done is kind of discuss the location itself, discuss the actual needs in the community, how it would actually help, what are the benefits to the village. And I think we're at a point now where I really need to be able to get more information to you so that you can make a decision. No decisions have been made, nothing's been signed, there's been no expense that I'm aware of from the village, and it is all still very preliminary. I would like to take it, right? So I would like to take it to the next step, and by the next step I mean for me to continue to do the due diligence necessary to get you the documentation, information, so that I can present it to you hopefully by March, for you to make a decision on the matter. It is my belief that the next step should be for us to issue a notice to float a balloon at the property at the proposed height of the structure. We want to do that as soon as possible because we want to do that while the leaves are off the trees in order to give the community the benefit of actually seeing kind of worst case scenario where you would see this from without having the foliage blocking it. So really, unless you have any other questions, I would propose that we schedule that for February 16th with a rollover to the 17th, subsequently to the 18th if necessary due to weather.
And what is the address of that property?
26 Havens Road.
26 Havens Road?
You know, it is, as you said, a kind of a weird spot for it because it is fairly low. That's why it took us a while to determine what the minimum height of the tower would be. Right now, for Verizon, we're looking at a tower of 160 feet. But keep in mind that property itself is probably 60 to 70 feet lower than the supermarket that's there. So over the next week or so, we'll confirm what we're going to fly the balloon at, be it 180 feet or 160 feet, or both, to fly the balloon so that everyone can see where you can and cannot see this tower from. In addition to that, I'll also be working on the other documents and information you would need, including having an environmental assessment done to look at the property, confirm with the FAA what the lighting requirements would be. Generally, you don't need to light a tower unless it's over 199 feet, but in general, you need to have an FAA analysis done to confirm that, so I'll be doing that. To work on an FCC compliance report, to study the tower and what the maximum permissible exposure levels are in the area, and all the other due diligence that would be needed to submit to you so that you could then make a decision or continue to have future meetings on it where the public could come out and actually have an informed discussion where they have the information, they'll have the balloon float, they'll be able to see if they can see it. So that would be, my proposal is that with your blessing, we schedule that and we take it to the next step so I can get you the information.
I just have another question. You know, a big thing with, you know, of course, having a communication, especially with the tower, in this community, a problem is when you dial 911, especially on a cell phone.
Yeah.
It goes across the river.
Yeah.
What's going to happen with that?
Well, that won't be a problem anymore. The issue there is right now, any coverage you are getting in here, you're getting it.
Let me back you up.
Sure.
Right? So you say if you dial 911 and that tower is up, you're not going to have a problem in the town of Highlands.
Not throughout the entire town of Highlands.
Here's the
This site is focusing mostly on the village of Highland
Here's what we
Falls.
have now.
Yeah.
That's what it'll be.
So only in the village, the whole village?
Yes. Right now, wherever the actual antenna is, what county it's in, determines what 911 call center you hit. So if you're in certain parts of the village, in the northern parts where you're closer to West Point, where you may be getting some coverage from a tower that's either, you know, at the stadium there or something, there maybe you're pinging off your county's towers. But anywhere else in the village where you're having just a little signal, you're actually getting that from across the river. Which means that every time you call 911, you're getting sent to their county dispatch. They have to figure out where you are, and then relay back to this county, and then in order to find you. See, that is a real significant issue that people aren't always aware of. But yes, that is a problem right now, and this tower will make it so that anybody who's using this tower pings off it is not gonna have that problem anymore. You're gonna be going to your own county dispatch.
But you're saying anybody that's, I'm sorry, Jim, anybody that's using that tower, but again, you're not saying the whole village is going to be able to serve off of that tower.
I would, you know, because when I'm looking at the village here, you know, you still need really 2 towers to cover the town of Highlands. This one tower is not gonna cover it. So, there are portions on the southern side where this tower isn't gonna hit, where another tower down in the town is gonna be needed to cover the southern portion of the village. So, I don't wanna promise you that it's just gonna cover the entire village because you have terrain blockage and things. But it will be the strongest signal. And as you can see from the coverage plots that we prepared as part of the committee meeting, yes, it's going to cover 99% of the village there. And you are no longer gonna be sent over.
Now, is
to
that
other
because
towers.
it's 160 foot? You say some towers are 190 foot?
It really, the height of the tower is all about location. This technology is based on line of sight. So the height of the tower is determined by the fact that it needs to be over the tree line, so that it doesn't have the blockage from the trees and the foliage, and to get over hills and mountains and things. So it's not like you just arbitrarily pick a tower height. The height of the tower is really just determined in order to maintain that line of sight, and it's all based on its location, the terrain, and the surrounding trees.
Last question, if it was at a higher location, would that then help?
You know,
Or-
if it was at a higher location, I would actually be proposing a shorter tower. We don't build these things
Okay.
any higher than is necessary. So let's say if I were to be up actually in the parking lot at the market, I wouldn't propose a 160-foot tower. I'd propose something 110 feet maybe. You know, I haven't done the studies. But we don't just build them as high as possible for no reason. We need to be able to justify what the height of the tower is.
But that would bring my same question to you then, that that's not gonna support the whole village then, again.
Well, I can't say that there's any one location that would cover the entire village just because of the terrain. As you can see from the coverage maps, which will be
I think I asked you the same question 8 years ago when I was down in the town board.
Maybe, and we're gonna be back before the town because, you know, there is gonna be another tower in order to cover Fort Montgomery. Like, this tower is not gonna cover Fort Montgomery. There's gonna be another tower that's needed there. The goal here is really just to minimize the number of towers that are needed. And, you know, we kinda came to this site, even from my perspective, this is not an ideal location. I have a very limited area, it's only 1,800 square feet, but we feel it's the best for the community. Because it is in a spot where it'll have the least aesthetic impact and provide the kind of coverage, which you can see from those plots, which obviously we're not gonna have time to do it now, but if you really look at it, existing and proposed, it will serve the need, and we think it's in the best spot aesthetically.
So, you're saying 1,800 square feet, that's that's the footprint that you need for this tower?
Generally, we want 3,600 square feet, 60 by 60.
So you generally need 3,600 square feet?
But
Is that for a
because-
tower or for a pole?
Well, the tower pole is interchangeable, there's many different types
So
of
which
towers.
are you
We
proposing
would be
to put up
proposing-
down there?
Right now, we're proposing a monopine, which is the fake tree looking pole.
I know what they are.
Yeah. The reason it's 1,800 square feet is when you're down there, one, we wanted to make sure we didn't take up as much parking as possible. Two, there's a drainage pipe that runs through the parking lot there.
Are you
So-
going to relocate that drainage pipe?
No, the entire point of this design is to make sure that we are not encroaching over the drainage pipe at all, so we wanted to relocate it at all. That's why it's an odd triangular shaped compound. We just tried to work with your property to minimize the impact to your people that work there.
Let me interject, you tried to work with that property. What other properties have you looked at in the village, and are there any other viable ones that we could put it on?
There are many properties we looked at. There are private properties. We looked at the town of Highlands DPW yard that's up there, that's technically in the village. Unfortunately, the only spot that was made available to us from the town was a location where there's a main water line that is feeding West Point. And because obviously the way these towers are built, there's a foundation on the ground that goes 6 feet below, that only location that was offered to us was unconstructed. So yes, there are other private properties. I don't think any of them are better, especially if you're talking about an aesthetic perspective, because nothing is as hidden, I believe, as this one. The mayor asked me to look at any other village properties that might work, and we did. We looked at the name of the park is failing me now.
Roe Park.
Roe Park. We looked up in the woods there, and I'm not gonna speak for the board, I think it was determined that that was just not as ideal a location, because one, anything there or up on the ridge is gonna be more visible to your community, and because this site is less visible and provides the type of coverage necessary, this is the site that I think, and I'm proposing, that we go with.
So the only reason you're not going for Roe Park is because of the aesthetics of that monopole?
Because I offered it to the board and it was determined that we should not move forward with that project.
Let me do a little clarification here, so we get the right information out here, because this is a topic that the right information has to go out. Talk about Roe Park, what we mean by when we say Roe Park is the 5 acres behind the Little League field, which has a restrictive deed to it, and therefore it cannot be used. All right, so I would have to go to the, and this is true, I think I would have to go to the state senate and get that deed.
If it was given to the village for a park, it can't be used for anything.
And we
Unless
talked
the-
about, I went to Elise to see if we could massage this a little bit, but it would take an act of Congress, which sometimes Congress has
An act of the.
acted incorrectly, but right now, no. So when we talk about Roe Park, that's where we mean that 5 acres behind the Little League.
Plus there's wetland issues.
There's wetlands, there's a lot of
issues
wetlands
with
there.
that property.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so if you're looking at this point, again, this is preliminary.
Yep.
There's no contracts,
Correct.
there's no finalization.
Right.
I want to say that the committee is Charlie Murphy, is Brian Howard, is Ned Copal, and Martha Howard. Is that correct? 4 people. Okay. I'm sorry?
I sit in just.
Oh, yeah, no, you're our attorney, yeah. So, if you're looking for permission from this board to sometime this month, and what were the dates?
February 16th.
And
with the
whether
rollover.
17th or 18th,
Yeah.
to float a balloon at the height of, where the top of the tower would be.
At this point, I would propose flying the balloon at 180 feet and another balloon on it at 160 feet.
Okay.
So that we can see the difference in height and see where you can see it from.
What do you say, board? Yes?
Yes.
You okay with that? It's to give us a visual, I mean, we have to start somewhere.
I'm not good with that.
Okay. Jimmy?
I'm okay with, hear me out on this one. I'm okay with them flying a balloon, but I'm not okay with the location personally.
That's why.
And I wanna see, I wanna see the balloon there, and I want the residents to see that balloon there, so they can make that determination also. That's why we need that visual.
Lighthouse, I'll have a party.
Charlie?
I'm good with that.
Okay.
If I could just say one other thing, and I definitely hear your concerns, I would say in the meantime, if the board or anybody tells the board, any specific viewpoints you wanna make sure that my contractor goes out and takes a photo from, let me know, I'll make sure that's done. And if there's any other properties you want evaluated that you think would be a better spot for a tower, tell me.
Well, I think we had 3 residents that live close by that would love to have a picture for, or any other residents down in that general location should get in touch with the board, give us your address.
Can one of us be on this committee? We're the only, there's 4 houses there, none of us are on this.
I didn't set the committee meeting, but just hear me out for 1 minute, please. So I think you should probably get a visual from where they are going to see these balloons. And that's why I want to see the balloon up. And that's why I stated that, I'm not in favor of the tower there, but if that is the place that they're gonna choose, we need to see it. And it's gonna affect you guys the most. So that's why I think pictures from their locations amongst the other ones that you're gonna choose,
Absolutely.
I think would benefit everybody.
We're also worried about the health issues,
Well,
not
we're
just
gonna,
the aesthetics.
I understand that, ma'am.
Generally speaking, the photos are always taken from public right-of-ways, so it would be like in the street in front of their house or something like that. generally we don't go on properties, you need insurance entry types of agreements, but if you're there, you know, I'm always there myself at these things. Yeah, you know, you can have my cell phone number, I'll give you my card. You know, if you're there and you walk with me on the property, I'd have no problem taking a photo from your backyard. You know, I'd be willing to do that, but just know that I'm not gonna go in everybody's backyard on the street without permission, but if I'm there and somebody says, hey, come here, take a picture from here, I've done that before, and I'm more than willing to do that again. This is all about, at this point, just getting the information out there. So the more help from the community we get just to give you the information, I'm willing to do whatever's necessary.
Thank you.
Can we ask what the areas in the southern part of the village that would not be properly served, if you can identify them?
Well, actually, at the meeting, I gave you the coverage maps, and I'm not saying they're not properly served. You're still gonna have signal throughout there. And when they give the whole package, again, long before the board's asked to make a decision, it's gonna be made public, everybody's gonna have a full RF report showing the existing conditions and the proposed conditions from the coverage. So all of this is going to be made public, and everyone will see exactly, based on computer modeling, what the anticipated coverage from these sites is.
What specific areas of the village are you talking about?
I really,
This is one of the big.
I'm sorry, I'm not prepared today to kind of list off the names of different streets and what home may get it and what may not. I can make-
Discuss it at the next committee
Absolutely, and I'll
meeting.
make sure that we can, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Ned, you have a copy of this, and I could figure this out eventually. This is the southern end, that'll be covered, and so we'll know what isn't gonna
The
be
coverage
covered.
from the site works really
ought
well.
So you
We
have
want to have
this.
the specifics from the gentleman.
Yeah, you have this, but you can you can figure out the
I
streets.
can try to break down the streets for next time.
You know, I just, you know, just so folks understand, you know, why I don't want to balloon up and why I'm still hesitant on this whole thing. If I'm gonna reach on my cell phone all the way across the river, and you're telling me that we're gonna have to put another tower up down in Fort Montgomery
Yeah.
to get two for everything to work, something isn't making sense to me.
No.
And not only on that, you mentioned that this is gonna be one of them fake trees, is that correct?
That's what I proposed as a stealth option, but if the board sees fit for a different type of stealth option,
I
we're
just-
open to that.
I just can't visualize that.
Yeah, I need to correct what he said, what
Go ahead.
trustee Livesey said, if I'm understanding him right. We're not gonna need two towers to make this one work.
Correct.
That,
But
so-
that's not correct.
I'm saying, you know,
But it's not correct, because if you're gonna put a tower in the village of Howland Falls, and you're hesitant on saying that the whole village is going to get coverage on that one tower, it's not correct. You would have to put another tower down in Fort Montgomery for that coverage to equal out on the other part of Howland Falls that's not getting the coverage, correct?
one tower is not going to cover the entire town.
Correct, but you don't need
The
two towers to
entire-
make one work.
Well, let's
Correct.
word this out right, the
Yeah.
entire village. One tower is not gonna do the entire village.
Most of it will be covered, and the plots show that. And when I say won't work, it's because I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that this one tower is gonna cover every nook and cranny and get over every hill. These sites, like I said, are line of sight, they're very specific as to what they cover.
I
just don't wanna make a false representation,
I understand that, and I
this
think
site
everyone
covers
else does.
really well.
Yeah,
And just because you can go somewhere right now and make a phone call outside,
right.
that is not a reliable signal. You cannot then go inside and make the call. In order to have a reliable signal inside, and I don't wanna get too wonky, we'll do a full presentation, but you need a certain dB level, right? And it's ranked in negative numbers, so the closer to 0 you are, the better. You generally need better than negative 95 in order to make in-building calls, in order to get through the bricks. So basically, when you look at this again, the green and the yellow are neg 95 or better for in-building coverage. On the street, you'll be good up to neg 105. So based on this coverage map, for on-street coverage, it is going to cover your entire village, yes. But just, I don't wanna give such an affirmative statement when you say I can call from anywhere. It's like, no, maybe over here in this area where you have neg 105, you're not gonna be able to call from a basement.
I understand what you're saying, this
Yeah.
is actually the same conversation that we had many years ago.
Yeah, these conversations don't end.
Right, they don't, and if anybody thinks that you're gonna get coverage inside this building here,
I fully expect you will get coverage inside this building.
I
from this
really
site.
question that.
I'm sorry, sir?
And that's more than fine, the question. Based on the coverage maps, and I had Verizon, this is directly from Verizon's lead RF engineer.
Okay.
Based on the modeling, we are in the green area, which would mean, based on the modeling, that you would be able to make a reliable cell phone call from inside this building.
Okay,
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Very much. Yes,
Do we need to motion that from the board for having the balloon test?
yeah, we're gonna do it right now.
Okay.
So may I have a motion to do a balloon test, a visual balloon test, weather permitting on February 16th, if not the 17th and 18th?
I make that motion,
Motion
February
by-
16th.
Motion by trustee Howard, is there a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Murphy, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
4-1. Motion carries, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can you get those cards to those people? please?
Sure.
Thank you.
I'll leave them,
Mr.
leave some
Zager,
here,
there you go.
somebody.
Thanks.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Okay, next on the agenda is to approve minutes. The minutes were written on the 22nd of January 2019, and then we had 2 executive session meetings, one on the 22nd of January and one on the 31st of January 2019.
I make a motion to accept those notes.
Second.
Motion by Brian, second by Charlie. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you so much. Next, I would like us to adopt the local law that was presented earlier for public hearing. You have that before you also. It's in your packet.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by trustee Livesey, is there a second?
Second.
Trustee Howard, may I have roll call?
Trustee Alward.
Aye.
Trustee Livesey.
Aye.
Trustee Ramus.
Aye.
Trustee Murphy. Aye. Mayor Denofrio.
Aye. Motion carries, thank you. Next on the agenda is appointment of election inspectors. Whereas the next village election for offices will be held on Tuesday, March 19, 2019. And whereas voting for the upcoming general election shall be conducted at Sacred Heart School Gym, 7 Cousins Avenue, from noon till 9 p.m. Therefore be it resolved that the inspectors of the election shall be as follows: Suzanne Lewis, Catherine McCormick, Kathy Gonzo,
Nazo.
Nazo, Olga Anderson, and an alternate, no name.
To be named.
Be it further resolved that the rate of compensation paid to the inspector shall be $12 per hour. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by trustee Murphy, is there a second?
Second.
Trustee Howard, may I have roll call?
Trustee Alward.
Aye.
Trustee Livesey.
Aye.
Trustee Ramus.
Aye.
Trustee Murphy.
Aye.
Mayor Denofrio.
Aye. Motion carries, thank you. Next, we have a resolution designating a second vendor spot in the parking lot number 2 across the street from Sacred Heart Church. Whereas it will be to the benefit of the Village of Highland Falls to designate a second public space to be used by a licensed vendor in the Village of Highland Falls. And whereas it will be to the benefit of the Village of Highland Falls to grant use of the second designated space based upon competitive bidding for the designated space. The space will be awarded to the highest qualified bidder, meeting all the requirements of the bid and Chapter 155 of the Village Code. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the second space designated by this resolution shall be in municipal parking lot number 2, which is 103-15-5, on the west side of the parking lot, starting at a distance 50 feet north of the entrance from Purple Heart Memorial Drive, and continuing for a distance of 40 feet. May I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second for discussion.
All right, discussion.
I'd like to ask our attorney 2 questions. One, if this passes and we create a second spot, do we need to put something in the
Yeah.
code that says
It's up to you.
the
You
truck
asked me a
cannot be
question,
parked there on an overnight permanent basis.
You
Yes.
would put that in your specifications.
Okay.
You don't need to put that in the code itself.
So when it goes out for competitive bidding, that'll be part of that package?
Yeah, they would agree not to park
That-
overnight.
No parking overnight, they can't leave any equipment, table, anything.
Right, that's right.
Yeah. I
Now,
think
if
that
you wanna
has,
put that in your code, you can do that, but the problem there is if you ever change it,
yeah.
one little thing, something comes up, they're doing that, oh, you don't want them to do that. You know, I mean, the specifications should be written so that, you know, things that you don't want them to do should be in those specifications. It's part of the contract.
It'll be made clear,
Yeah,
just like as we refer to him, the hot dog guy, at the end of the day, when he packs up, you'd never know he was there.
right.
Every flag, every banner, every chair, every bottled water, everything.
Speaking of the existing contract, I've said this before, I have real problems in creating a second spot and going out now for bids when we have the first vendor who bid according to an exclusive one space only. We have had some informal conversation among ourselves that it should, if the second space goes through, it should probably be bid out in March.
I still haven't seen that contract. In other words, arguably, if what you're saying is true, and the village agreed that he would have exclusivity for a period of 1 year, then you would be in breach if you put a vendor number 2 in there.
But
But I
to help.
haven't seen the contract.
All right, but to help this point, which I agree with, and we talked about this, which is good, we talk about everything all the time, and it's great. So we know right now, and correct me if I'm incorrect, Gina, we know that the hot dog guy, again, we call him the hot dog guy, I feel like that's not right, but he has the spot till July. Then he has to rebid if he wants to. Half the hot dog season is still in front of him. I'm suggesting that, with your help, that we let anyone who wants to bid on that space, including the hot dog guy, because it doesn't belong to him, it belongs to whoever is the high bidder, go from July of 2019 to March of 2020. And then this spot that we're making tonight, plus that one, start out for a whole year. We can go from, they can bid in March, get ready for the season of eating, hot dogs and ice cream and everything, and that would carry them through to the following March, Then they're both hooked up for a year, they both coincide at the same time, and that's what we're talking about, correct?
That would help.
We don't want to breach his contract now.
Then you would need to modify and make an amendment to that contract, assuming that he's okay with that.
Not that contract, because he has to rebid in July.
Well, you can amend that contract.
He has it for a year.
Yes, but you can amend it to extend it for a certain period of time, provided however that he agrees.
I don't think we want to extend the current contract past July to this vendor. We want to hook them both up.
Yeah, I think the mayor is suggesting that we require the 2020 bid to take place in March. And even though the hot dog vendor has through July, he would be bidding for the following year.
The problem though, what if you get a third bidder?
Right, so, but what you,
It's always a problem.
correct me if I'm wrong, but what you were suggesting is to extend the contract that he has now all the way through the next season, in essence, up to the March, where the following year, the bids would go out for spot number 1 and spot number 2. Is that what,
That's what I
was I
thought
reading
I
you
was
right?
hearing, but that's not what the
Let
mayor.
me say it again.
I guess we need to talk about that.
Yeah, let me say it again. This is very simple,
That would extend
and it puts everyone on the same page as far as vendors. The hot dog guy has a contract right now till July of this year, 2019. It's up in July 2019. We put that spot out again, pre-July. May or June. Right?
Right.
You have to be early, you have to, before it runs out. And it would go from July of 2019, when it runs up now, to March of 2020. In March of 2020, we now have 2 spots to go out to bid at the same time for a year. I mean, I don't know how much
Yeah,
more,
no, that's,
do you understand what I'm saying?
yeah, no, I understand.
Yeah, otherwise we would be granting a 9-month additional
That's, well, we
period.
will be granting a 9-month to the hot dog guy. We will be giving him from July 2019, this year, to March.
Oh, so we're gonna grant that, or?
No,
we-
he's got a
We're
bid.
putting
Yeah.
out for
Yeah.
bid spot number 1.
For 9 months.
For
Yeah.
9 months.
Right.
And what I heard was that we could possibly extend spot number 1 for 9 months with the current contract.
Come on,
Is that-
guys.
is that possible?
I need
No,
to
come on,
see- I
guys.
need to see the
You're all making this very complicated.
No, what I'd like to do,
Unbelievable.
just
Go ahead.
exactly what you just said
Thank you.
there,
I know.
is probably the best
It just
plan.
puts everyone on the same month.
Yeah,
Puts everyone on at the same time of the
yeah,
year.
it'll make it easier.
You have 2 spots. They start in March. They end in March.
Right.
You can pick 2 other months. You can pick April to April. I don't care.
Well, March is sort of the.
Well, April, if it's a nice month, you want to be out there selling maybe.
March,
whatever, I-
March will get you going though,
Yeah.
you know?
All right.
We can do that. My only concern is I do need to see that contract.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what his terms say.
You'll have it tomorrow.
No,
There's no contract.
It's an
there's a
agreement.
permit,
It's a permit.
it's a permit
All
that
right,
was
let me
issued.
see the permit, okay? Maybe have you sent that to me? Don't answer, because if you have, I'm gonna look like an idiot. But you say you haven't, so send me the permit, I need to see that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. This is not complicated.
So-
We can do this.
With that being said. there's
With that
a
being
motion on
said.
the floor.
There's a motion on the floor.
And I'm gonna second it.
It's been seconded
Oh.
by
Second.
Murphy.
I was seconded by Murphy.
All right.
I made a
For
motion.
discussion.
You have it down?
That was a long
You have the motion
discussion.
down? All right, may I have roll call?
Trustee Albert,
Aye.
trustee Livesey,
Aye.
trustee Ramus,
Aye.
trustee Murphy,
Abstain.
Mayor Denoff.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you so much. We'll work this out. Whatever is the easiest way, at least, to get 2 vendor spots, not vendors, but vendor spots, to start at the same month and end at the same month. That's all we want.
That's right.
Okay, thank you.
And an agreement about not storing vehicles in the parking lot.
Should be part of the permit.
Right.
Thank you so much. Okay, next on the agenda is unpaid water bills for May and November. Resolution, whereas it will be to the benefit of the,
No,
no? Spent so much time on that. Whereas the Village of Highland Falls has 217 delinquent water accounts in the amount of $45,206.26 remaining unpaid, including late fees from the May and November of 2018 water billings. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the clerk notify all delinquent water customers that unless payment is made before 4 p.m. on Wednesday, February 27, 2019, water service will be terminated. Be it further resolved that if any service is so terminated, a reconnect fee of $75 will be charged to restore the service. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
May I have roll call?
trustee Albert,
Aye.
trustee Livesey,
Aye.
trustee Ramus,
Aye.
trustee Murphy,
Aye.
Mayor Denoff.
Aye.
Is that number greater than last year?
It varies,
Oh, yeah?
yeah, it's
pretty much-
probably
yeah,
the same.
I've seen it higher, I can't look, that's about it, yeah. And if you look, it'll be the same ones. Now, what we've all been waiting for.
Yay.
The highlight of the night,
Yes,
Mr. Fallon.
I'm just here to answer any questions.
You don't want to get up to the microphone?
No.
You don't want to talk?
I'm here for answer any questions.
How many bagpipes?
So what this is, this is 4th or 5th
This will be the fourth.
Fourth year. And I remember the first, second, third, and it has, like everything, it grows and it grows and it grows. When you get bagpipers from Canada,
Yes.
like you did last year,
Yeah.
that's saying something.
Yeah.
Thank you. So, this year's, to honor, St. Patrick's Day Parade is gonna be on March 2. And it'll start at My Town Marketplace, the old Grand Union, and go to Homestead.
Correct.
And it'll start at 1:45.
Is that a Saturday?
Saturday. First Saturday of the month. That's how we've been.
Everything is here, proper insurance is here. So all we need to do for Mr. Fallon is to approve the event.
Oh, may I move it?
Yes. You want to move it to another date?
No,
Oh.
motion to approve.
Second. We have a motion by Charlie, seconded by Mr. Ramus. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Good job, George.
Good luck, George.
Looking forward to it.
You want to put any vendor spots in the parking lot?
Maybe next year.
Yes. Oh, my God. Thank you. And we look forward to it very much.
Is there any way that the residents can help with any donations on this?
Yeah.
You want to give a little quick plug, please?
Currently, we have a Facebook page.
You'll have to
which
talk
has-
right in that mic for the
Has
viewers at home.
email listed, phone numbers. We have an advertising sheet, which I didn't bring with me, but is available. Anyone that wants to help out, we're gonna be putting something in the Laird of the Editor
Okay.
this upcoming week, so anyone that wants to contribute, we always invite all marchers, any different groups that wanna march, anything, just notify us, we'd like to put it in the program. And that's about it.
I understand the 124th Orange Blossoms are gonna be here.
I just learned something about that tonight, yes.
And so we talk about an Irishman is a lad, and what is a lady? What do we call it?
Lass.
Lass?
Lass.
So what lad or lass do we have to be our grand marshals?
We have
Two lads?
We're a little unconventional in our parade, so we actually have two grand marshals. It's Joe McCormick and his brother Dave McCormick.
That's wonderful.
Others will be,
The McCormick boys.
yes. will be the
Well
grand
deserved.
marshals, Yeah.
Well deserved.
And then they choose a Highland Squire and a Highland Rose, and it's usually a grandchild, and then they kind of.
Wonderful.
And walk, yeah.
Wonderful.
So it'll be nice, yeah.
Now,
Thank you.
If people want to take out ads or contribute, can they go to Southgate and?
Yes, there's always a sheet there, and anyone can help you there, and then, on the sheet, I'll actually put some information in the Laird of the Editor if anyone does want to make any contributions, or even, still there's about a week for the program to get through. Joe Gill, who's the Highlands, does our program, so we sign off on the 11th for the official, so it's getting close, but everything's running smoothly, and we always welcome any volunteers, anyone that wants to contribute, that's always welcome. So,
Thank you, lad. Thank you, lad.
thank you.
All right. Okay. Next we have on the agenda is to appoint Elise, that's here tonight, the village attorney, to the ZBA as their attorney. Not sure why we're doing that,
Well,
but
both
I
the
don't,
town and the village have to.
we've never
agree.
done that. But it's okay. I want to do it, so it's fine.
Okay,
The planning board is asking for it,
ZBA.
or ZBA is asking for it, and we agree. So if
I'll make the motion.
motion to appoint Elise to the ZBA as their attorney.
Second.
You okay, Gina? All in favor?
I,
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Congratulations, please. Yeah, I'm sure you have plenty of time for both.
Next on here is the request training. The village clerk is requesting training to the Board of Elections in Goshen on Thursday, the 7th, this Thursday, the 7th of February for a workshop. Request mileage reimbursement at the IRS rate of 58 cents a mile. Could I have that approved?
I make a motion.
Motion by Brian, is there a second?
second.
Seconded by Charlie, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. The Complus on your, do you have that on your agenda? Yeah, you do. That I would ask a motion to table when Chief Scott is here. May I have a motion to table?
I'll motion.
Motion by
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, finish your vote.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
I did make some comments, I did look at this, I have just a few comments, I'll send an email out.
What is it?
It's the,
Oh, the Complus.
yes.
Yeah, let us know.
Yeah,
And we're gonna take it up next meeting.
okay.
We have a request to renew the copier in the police department. If I could have a motion to sign that.
Gotta have that, I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
Motion by Herb and second by Charlie. All in favor?
Oh.
What? I'm sorry.
Someone else
That was
seconded.
Brian.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. I have bills and claims for fiscal year 18-2019 for $80,295.04.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Brian, seconded by Charlie to pay the bills and claims. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. What happened to our audience?
Mr. Mayor, this is a new system?
Yeah,
Yeah.
different format.
Okay. Do you like the new system, Gina?
We just started,
You just started?
Just started, yeah.
I mean, just
Uh-huh.
the
Does
first
it,
report we came off. of.
first report? So at the next meeting, you'll give me
How it's going?
pulling my hair out, or it's a smooth transition? Thanks.
Could I ask a question about this?
Yes.
Does it have the capacity to give totals for the year that have, you know, amounts spent with any individual vendor, so
Oh, it
there's
has
a running
capability to
total?
get those reports, yes.
Okay, great.
We try not to give the board too much
much.
information to confuse you up there, you know.
We don't
for your
get
meeting.
confused, only on vendor spots.
Yeah.
But any time you can get reports in depth.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy. I want to talk to all you guys later.
I just want to note for the board that I have been attending the cell tower workshops with the committee. And at the last workshop, I suggested that the board hire a consultant who specializes in these types of applications. It would be paid for by the cell tower, and he more than, right, he said, I'll be happy to put money in escrow to hire someone. So the reason I'm suggesting that is that not only can he or she help validate all of the information that's being given to the board in terms of, for example, coverage area, need, visual analysis, that sort of thing, because you will have to do seeker. Also, they can help with the terms of the lease. Is that typical? I mean, I can look at the contract language, I can make suggestions, and I've made several already. But for example, I can't tell you, are you getting paid enough money, not enough money, if in fact it goes forward. The other thing that is important to understand is that, as I've said to the committee, the RF guidelines, there's a table, and if this company comes in and says, we're within those emissions, you know, we're below them, then there's no authority for this board or any other board to deny the cell tower because of health issues. So that's another point that needs to be confirmed. I can't look at a report like that and say, yeah, the modeling he used is
I
good.
understand. I appreciate you telling us that.
So,
And Elise, you're right, and I remember all of this, and Rich, you probably, this was all mentioned with the town years ago. Everything you just said was brought up. And that's part of my reason of my decision tonight right now. Not that I'm against the cell tower, but I think there should be more info forward.
yeah, I mean,
Well, of course, I did, tonight was just,
No, I
tonight
understand that.
tonight wasn't,
But I don't want to, no, I understand, but I
At
just,
the last committee meeting, he said he was gonna have everything for us. The environmental thing,
yes, because that's an issue.
right, everything he was gonna have ready to go. This was just, for lack of a better word, just a quick blip about exactly what he was doing, what
Well,
he was
yeah,
going to do.
it's transparency, and you all know, I mean, it's transparency. There is a committee. I think it's important that the public know who the committee is. There was a meeting. I think it's important that the public know what happened at the meeting.
And you're right.
So, we'll move on. Thank you. Okay, so some announcements. So, in honor of Black History Month, February, I would like to take the opportunity to, and I don't think anyone's thinking about this except a few, and I mean a few people, the 4th of July. So tonight I would like to name our Grand Marshals in honor of Black History Month. For this year's 4th of July will be Joyce Claiborne and Lily Mims. They'll be our Grand Marshals.
That's great. Good choice.
Yep.
It is.
They're pillars of the community. They're doers. They've given. They're an asset to the community. And what better honor than to bestow on them being the Grand Marshals for the 4th of July. Great. All right, some changes on Main Street are happening to bring everyone up to date. This is short, what I'm going to say. So the Penn Fed building up at the north end was sold. We know, most people know that. And they're aggressive with their timetable. I don't see it happening this quick, but before this month is out, they're taking the building down. Now, I don't see it happening, but that's their timetable that they'll have to work out with the building department. What I want the public to know is that there'll be a pre-meeting. Everyone knows I love meetings. So there's going to be a pre-meeting with police, fire, highway, water, sewer, the building inspector, and either the owner or his designee, maybe the contractor. That's up to them. But there'll be a pre-meeting before this happens because you're talking a lot of utilities up there, and this all has to be discussed before anything happens.
Mr. Mayor, so, a point that should be brought up, and I don't know if I'm gonna be at the meeting, but I'm sure you will definitely be there. When they demo this building, they have to cart all of that stuff away. What is their path, for lack of a better term, that they're gonna take out of the village with all of these trucks that is gonna cart that material out? And have they looked at weight limits, especially if we get the money to fix West Point Highway? And if that's the highway that they're gonna be using when they build this, what kind of vehicles are they gonna be bringing in? Construction vehicles, equipment, materials, on our, if the highway's done at that point in time, or down Main Street. Those are some of the questions I hope that we could ask at that meeting, please. Thanks.
Okay, continuing with the changes on Main Street, Nicole's, the catering hall, 11 Main Street, that's the first piece of property coming into the village. We've had inquiries downstairs about water shut-off, et cetera, for that to be torn down. So one might think between now and spring that might happen. Again, not as many issues down there as there are at the north end on Main and Perry Avenue, but there'll be a pre-construction meeting prior to that building coming down. And then the third change to Main Street happens in the middle of those two pieces of property, and that's Key Bank. Key Bank is closing on May 3rd, shutting down. I think that those that have an account are starting or have all received letters telling them to use the bank, I guess in Vales Gate. Whatever that is, that's between those that bank at Key Bank. But Key Bank will be closing. And there's no other bank at this point or any other entity coming into that building. So there's 3 large pieces of property that are going to have some changes. Okay? I'll go through the Complus. We'll do the next meeting. That's a cell tower. Okay, ICE. ICE was Roe Park was a discussion at the last meeting, and I'll hold this up. But I know that Aaron Falk is going over there checking the ice daily. I'm wondering if you should not only go during the day or early in the day, but later in the day. But this is I think you brought this up. This is a sign that's down at Hessian Lake.
Yep.
And of course, this is black and white, but the colored one I saw was nice because this here is green, because it says green. This here is red, because it's red. And this here is red, it says unsafe. There's a lock over here that you can change this. There's a plate that goes on and off, safe and unsafe. So I'm going to have one of these ordered, and maybe two.
I think 2 would be good.
Yeah, and for sure, a new flagpole that a green or red flag will go on, which will be on the west side of the pond, between the playground and where the weeping willow trees are, in the middle there. You can see it there. So that's what I'll do, is if that's okay with everyone.
Just a quick note too is, yesterday, Garrison's Pond, there were a lot of kids on there yesterday. But I think right after that, at 4 PM, I believe it was, he red flagged both of them.
Yeah.
Well Park and down there
Yeah.
at 4 o'clock.
Okay. I'll go through this quick. Restore New York, which is to remove the paint on buildings on Main Street. Again, a $45,000 grant was received, or will be able to be used for engineering, which was a stumbling block for us to come up with. From the IDA, thanks to Mr. DeSalvo. I appreciate that. We have Mearns Avenue. After many meetings and phone calls and letters, they've approved my request to move $107,000, almost $108,000 from Oak Avenue, which is done, over to Mearns Avenue, which will go along with the Mearns Avenue money so that we can really do from the south end coming north on Mearns. The wall behind Town Hall, I'm meeting with the state to hurry the process to get a permit. The sewer line at the water plant, we're going out to bid again because we only had one bid and we thought it was too high.
It was.
The sidewalks on Lady Cliff Park on one section and West Point Highway, a grant that we have for that. Again, that'll be asking the state for permits on a fast track. North End sidewalks, the few of us are going to walk with our engineer, the north end, from Cousins Avenue to Thayer Gate, and come up with the sections that have to be done, some don't. I will be requiring, on behalf of the village board, that when Fed is taken down, that all new sidewalks be put in. Instead of us doing it, they do it. We have that $190,000 grant for West Street and sidewalks on this end of Main Street we're moving forward with. It's to pave West Street and again to do sidewalks out here. Within less than a month, I want to talk to the board about the Road Park grant to replace a lot of things over there that need to be replaced because they're worn. I gave you tonight the specs to pave streets. Please let me know by Wednesday if you want to add or subtract. We're still working on the senior citizen closeout. It's actually a nightmare. The grant for the belt press, that's moving forward to go out with specs to replace the belt press.
What's the plans for the planning? Is there any plans in the future?
The Thayer Hotel folks, someone at the Thayer Hotel, the owner of the Thayer Hotel, or maybe it's a group of folks from the Thayer Hotel, I don't know yet, but they bought it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Have they been before the planning board yet with their,
Preliminary.
any approvals?
No approvals yet. They have a process to
So what
go.
we need to do is actually go to the planning board.
Will you do that?
And when they have their meetings with them, and especially during the public hearing, and talk to them about the sidewalks. I mean, depending on what they're putting up, it's something that I'm sure that they would be agreeable to.
Well, they have to be
when they're
agreeable.
when they're doing something like that.
Yeah.
But we don't know. I know when I was on the planning board, some of the other projects that went on down there, with a few of the other banks, they really didn't want to fix the sidewalks.
Well,
I'm just.
so you
just
know,
giving you
they'll
some
be fixing
information.
these sidewalks.
I hope so.
You know me. Okay, I want to thank, a little while ago I did, you'll see here painting, the village conference room was painted, the lobby was painted, and coming up the stairwell was painted. It looks clean, it looks fresh. Very, very happy with that. The senior citizen center was done inside, and so the board would like to thank the folks that work for the highway department, because during these winter months, in between the little ice storm here and there, that's what they've been working on, so we thank them for that. I've received two documents here from West Point. Both of them are emergency action plan for Crackston Lake dams, and the other one is for Lusk Reservoir. I have just received them, I'm going through them, but this is the action plan if either one of these dams falter. I will be going through these and sharing them with, I would assume you have them, but
I'm not sure I have the updates. I
Okay.
commented on the previous ones that
all
were
right,
sent.
I'll let you see these two. Of course, anyone can see them, I'll have them downstairs. I'm going through it now. This is important, these two things. If anyone uses Central Hudson, they have for their customers, a detector for yeah, where is it? I had it all marked. The part that's not yellow.
You have to have it in your house.
So for
It's a
carbon
must.
monoxide detector, which on the market is, they're saying somewhere between 32 and 40 something. If you're a customer, you can have one, they'll sell you one for $7.50. I'll make copies of this and put this down in the lobby,
Everybody should call.
all right? So you wonder what this is about, or maybe you don't wonder what this is
I'm
about.
wondering what it's about.
So I wanted to get some weight. I wanted to get how much, if this is a large bottle here, and most people get the smaller one, what are the pills, what do they weigh? What's the total amount of the pills in weight in this bottle? Because in the year 2017 and the year 2018, the police department has taken in 210 pounds of pills. Wow. So those are people who maybe don't need this anymore. It expired, but took them off the street, if you will. That no one can get them in their house, which I think is important. 210 pounds of pills have been brought into the police department. So if you have any pills that you no longer take, you no longer need, it's expired, whatever different reasons there are, if you bring them into the police department, they'll take the bottle. Or if you don't want them to have the bottle, and I understand that, take the pills, put them in an envelope, and hand the envelope in. Somehow give them to the police, and they'll deposit them into a container, and then they dispose of them.
It's right in the lobby.
Pardon? It's right in the lobby,
Yeah.
inside.
Yeah,
So open up the front door to the police department, there's a container there, drop it. Again, you don't have to have this with your name and everything on it. You can drop them in loose if you want. So that's what that's about. I think that's a lot.
Another really important thing in turning in pills, because people have been flushing pills down the drain, we're seeing even in the wildlife endocrine disruption in animals as well as it can happen in people. So it's really vital, even penicillin, antibiotics, especially birth control pills, do not throw them down the drain. Bring them and dispose of them properly.
Thank you, Charlie. The last thing is, and I was going to read it, but the meeting's been long enough, but I will give it to the News of Highlands. This is a letter that's to our assemblyman, and I also wrote one to our state senator about AIM, A-I-M. So objecting that the villages, including the village of Island Falls, of course, is being denied their this village gets $38,000 that now we have to make up. So I'm against it, and I believe you all are too. And so these 2 letters were written to our state representatives. Brian?
Yeah, I'm glad that people came in about the cell tower, because I think, once again, rumors are rampant. And I think you did a nice job. We need more information, we'll give them. I think we need to have an honest dialogue. I understand that there's research out there that just says if you have a cell phone, you have cancer. I understand they have their concerns. So I think we just need to really have an open dialogue, give them all the information they want. On the other hand, there are other people on the other side who are saying they want that cell tower. And so there is an issue. And it depends on the research you read too in many ways. Research goes both ways on it. Some people think a microwave can have more problems than that. But I'm glad they came tonight, because it was out there. I heard about it that, we already made a decision, and we didn't make a decision. That's not the way we work.
You all only had 1 meeting, right?
2.
You had 2, okay?
Right.
Only 2.
But that's not the way we work, is what I want to stress.
You're right. All set?
Yeah.
Murph?
Mr. Mayor, I think you just about covered everything except.
Thank you, Murph.
Except for one thing.
Oh, boy, here we go.
Are you sure?
And I gotta tell you, there's something that really bothered me the other day, and I'll tell you what it was. I seen they were paving on 9W. And I asked one of the guys, what is the chance of hanging a right and coming into our little community and getting some of the potholes? Well, it never happened. And I gotta tell you, it's just amazing to me anymore, coming into this road, you have to go over the white line, you have to
Yes.
go over the yellow line,
Yes.
and it's bad. And it's
It's terrible. It's getting worse by the day.
What is it?
So we've asked, and we've asked verbally and in writing our state representatives. We've asked and in writing the West Point leadership. We've asked and in writing our leadership with DOT. And that is truly the question, what is it gonna take? And so I don't have the answer tonight, but it's very, very bad. And I'm gonna tell you something that's gonna sound funny, but it's anything but funny. And I admit I didn't see this, but the person who told me, I'll take it to the bank. 5-gallon pail, 2 guys from the state. They went over to the truck and opened up the truck and poured blacktop into the 5-gallon pail. Took the 5-gallon pail of blacktop, went over to the hole in the middle of the street, and went like this with the open 5-gallon pail. They pulled it up, and there, in its same form as the pail, was the blacktop. Guess what? I give him credit for this. The other guy takes a shovel, and he starts beating it. Now, we can all laugh at that because it is kind of funny, but it's not funny.
And in this weather.
And in this weather, this was a few days ago, it was cold. It's not there now. Of course it's not there now. What a waste of money. Guess whose money? Our money. Okay? You didn't solve a problem. Matter of fact, you insulted us. See, you insulted us. Now you insulted us. So, I don't know, Merv. I'm trying. I am really, really trying.
That road is bad.
We've been bouncing with DOT since graduation, months before graduation at this point. We asked them to fix it.
Oh my
Also
God.
the circle
Yeah.
down and coming around near Bear Mountain.
Oh, yeah.
There's,
I'm around it every day.
yeah, tie rod. Fortunately, I wasn't driving my car.
This is not public speaking.
Sorry.
I know, this is like,
But whose road is that? The circle? Is
that's state.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
All this is state.
Oh, okay.
I want to see if Mr. Ramus brings up something tonight, so he's on a test right now.
I'm afraid, Merv.
Me?
I got
Charlie?
Okay,
Well,
real quick.
We'll see if you bring it up.
Wednesday, the Emergency Management Committee is meeting, and at the last meeting, we did talk a little bit about dam safety, so this is very timely.
Good.
The other thing, I'm really happy to see the model signs from Hessian Lake. This could easily be another year where when we do the ice rescue technician training, we have to swim out instead of crawling out on the ice. It's usually done in January, we're now in February.
Long Pond, correct?
It changes location, I think this, we were looking at Long Pond, could be George Guy's pond. And that's it.
Thank you. And soon I will be bringing up information about our dams. Upper bog, lower bog. We need to talk about that, which I will. Okay, Jim?
Speaking of the ice and the water,
Yes.
we need, and Mr. Lizzie brought it up at the last meeting, where and I did bring it up also, where the water comes in at Roe Park and where it goes out. We need to have cones put up in those general locations, because that's where the water's running and it's the most dangerous.
There'll be cones at the south end where it comes in, and at the north end.
Or horses,
There's three
whatever
areas.
they need.
But
There's three areas.
where's the other one?
You have one where the gazebo is, one all the way on the end where they took the trees out, and one on the roadside is a black pipe right there, halfway.
Three
down.
areas. Okay, there'll be there'll be things there tomorrow.
Thanks. So another issue that you spoke about was the Restore New York grant. Hidden costs of paint. I would like to know if in these contracts that it states that once $500,000 is spent on restoring these beautiful brick buildings and any gremlins, as I call them, that they're gonna find underneath of them, whether it's pointing, taking out old bricks, fixing the lintels that have rotted away, that they're not gonna be allowed to paint these brick buildings again. You know, is that in there? I mean, what happens if we go there, they strip it down, and then 5 years from now, somebody buys that building and they wanna paint that building? So we need to look at the contract to make sure all of this money that's gonna get spent is not gonna get whitewashed. Because we're back in the same boat then, with a painted building that's just gonna rot away. There's a new drinking water source protection program application out there. State's handing out a lot of money. And they're gonna hire a consultant to work with communities. And there's gonna be no out-of-pocket cost to the participating municipalities for them to come up with some type of plan developments.
Yeah, I hate that, I don't like this.
And unfortunately, the application they're due on February 15th, but I believe they have extended that, and I'll let you know.
Can I have a copy, can I make a copy of that?
Absolutely. So, you know, there's some money out there that hopefully we can get for, and you had something you were gonna talk about the dam, so maybe this can help with that. As far as the senior center, you were talking about some lighting down there and the drop ceilings going in. I know we are one step away from getting no strings attached, $5,000 with some green infrastructure upgrades. So I don't know how many square feet that building has in it, but I think we need 1,000 square feet.
I need 1,000.
So with that, and maybe putting some LEDs in here, maybe that could help us out to get to that next level, to get a few extra dollars.
I'm meeting with this guy, I'm meeting with this gentleman here this week. You know what, let me take that back, I'm not sure the exact date. Let me bring that up. He's coming with another suggestion, but you know what? The senior center and Village Hall, I'll bring that up.
And then if we don't have enough there, we do have the water plant building, maybe
Yeah, I'm not sure if it has to be 1,000. I have a funny, yeah, I have a funny feeling, but let's talk to him.
Okay, great, excellent.
Depends on who's doing the measurement. Right?
I gave this to the water department. There's some small system webinars for small drinking water systems. pretty convenient for them to go online and they get extra credits for these, well, continuing education credits. As far as some new lights on Main Street, we are in the process of continuing with the 2%. And we're gonna be surprised because we're gonna get more than
The 7.
the 7. And hopefully it's gonna be the whole corridor. But I'll get more information on that as when the voucher's put in, because they have to put a voucher in through their system, and then it goes out to make sure they have the proper fixtures, and then they'll come down here and put them in. And I'll give an update on that the quicker I get it. I got a lot more, but it looks like you're a little
Save
tired.
something for next meeting.
Okay.
Don't do it all in one meeting.
What did I miss?
You wanna know what you missed, Jim?
Yes, please.
Normally you talk about the wildlife out there too. So right now, Mr. Jim Ramus missed this part. The coyotes are very, very
MJ
aggressive
didn't.
right now, because this is the mating season, and you're gonna see them all over right now, so be warned when you're outside, is that right?
Absolutely.
All right, Jim, so you missed that.
And, well, I seen our editor back there, in the local paper, had a beautiful article in about that. And just to touch on that, the skunks are starting to come out also, because it's mating season for them also.
All right,
So
is there
once we
anything
start to
else?
see them,
All right.
You opened
Don't
this can of
antagonize.
worms.
Nothing like living in the
So
country
I need
here.
to keep my kitty cat indoors.
Yes.
Yes.
That's right.
You got anything on that, Joe?
I don't have anything on any of his issues that he brings up. He's my DEC guy. We all have our expertise,
Yes.
you know?
Is a motion in order?
Still trying to figure,
My expertise, getting older. I make a motion that we adjourn.
that is a good one.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much.